All right. All right. Hold on, let me get some drink. All right, Shalom. We the Hebrew Israelites. We come out here week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of the daughter of Babylon, aka America. But first and foremost, I want to say call Hawaii, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harach Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Gadalah Rakhaim, which is Great Millstone, and the Lashuan Tahar, where I learned this truth from and who rule well. Salutations to the Bakiyar, the elect, the 144,000. That's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel consist of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. The 144,000 being the governing body within the 1/3. The rest of the 1/3 comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So it's not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that die in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King, King Mashah, who is King David. And as always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem, Harakach Wadash, for answering my prayers and permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem, Harakach Wadash, allowed us to be an edifying camp to at least one member of the elect, man. So I typed in Google the best time to fish, because you know we are fishers of men, right? And as seers, or later referred to as prophets, you know, we're instructed to protest of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and we're instructed to rise early and go to the highways and hedges and be fishers of men, because you know right now Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is sending fishers. You know, and how do you fish? You fish by administering this word, and specifically going into prophecy. You know, and that's what a seer is, someone that sees, you know, into the future, based upon the Spirit moving them to be able to understand and interpret these scriptures. This is Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers. You know, so even dealing with the act of fishing, you know, I typed into Google best time to fish. The best time to fish is generally early morning, dawn, to 9 a.m. and late evening, dusk, when fish are most active, feeding in shallow waters and the light is low. You know, so rising early, right? Well, let me finish up 16 and 16. It says, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters. So we're coming into the conclusion of this portion of prophecy, as it's about to fill its measure, now the next prophecy is going to begin, commence, which that prophecy is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua unleashing the hunters, right? It says, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks, right? Which, first and foremost, that's starting with the rich elite, you know, because mountains and hills represents governments, big and small. And then you also have them hiding in the holes of the rock. They're going to be in those military underground bases or those underground cities, man. They're going to be seized or arrested, you know, by the elect in those in hell, man, which is the ground, right? So we're doing according to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua's will, man. I'm going to just start at verse 8. This is Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 8. Behold, you trust in lying words, right? And those lying words come from, you know, false doctrine, traditions of men, because you got a lot of that going on, especially among you heathens in the world. You know, you follow a lot of these traditions instead of following the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. You know, these false doctrines, you people believe in these holidays, you believe in, you know, Esau's ideologies, you know, which all goes back to Satanism, man. All these religions, you know, the world believes in, the world we're supposed to be separate from if we are indeed Israelites, man. You know, we have our own culture, we have our own cultivation, which is the cultivation of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. So we don't have no partaking of this world. It says that cannot profit. So the things that these people teach, you know, yeah, it's profiting them because they're taking the bag to deceive you. That's why they're in G-Wagons, you know. That's why, you know, start to see them looking all fly and flashy and having, you know, properties, right? Because they took the bag. Because what went along with, you know, their newfound prosperity, man, they start switching up the doctrine. They start teaching you, you know, lying words, right? That cannot profit you, that cannot lead to salvation.
1:0.5.145.
It says, will ye steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baal? And these are all the practices of these ancient empires that not only did the heathen adopt, but also Jacob adopted. Jacob is dealing with the people on this side, man. You so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous. You adopted, you know, all those different practices, worshiping these, you know, these other gods. You know, to the point where you even have Amalek, you know, talking about how those Elamites, those Persians burning a statue of Baal was deemed to be anti-Semitism, man. You know, which the word Sem or Semite is nowhere in the Bible, man. And then when you go into the word they're actually trying to use, we find that many nations came out of the line of Shem. You know, which also adds to the confusion for them to be called Ashkenazi. You know, they would have to be from the line of Japheth, man. You know, which we know those Ashkenazis and those Turkics, you know, they're come from the Khazarian line or the Edomites. It says, and walk after other gods whom ye know not, and come and stand before me in this house. Now, yeah, these heathen nations practice these practices, you know, but so do, you know, 2/3 of the nation of Israel as well, man. They're in that group of people too. They're in that lot. They're allotted with that carnal mind state, man. To be a sensual man, to be a carnal man. So they're of the world, so they practice the deeds of the world, man. It says, and come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name. Yeah, the house Bayath Shah of Yashar Allah. He is Prince of the Power, man. You know, that righteous house of King David, Dawad or Dawadah, right? That's that righteous generation that's being brought back onto earth, that is going to be delivered, that's going to be saved as the first fruits from this nuclear destruction and also the weapons that is going to be shot from the chariots, right? It says, and say, we are delivered to all these abominations. Yeah, because of our disobedience, man. Case in point, you know, for all you individuals that fell out the truth, because you were told, you know, your sacrifice wasn't acceptable. You know, you were told that you were wicked, you know, that you were going to be destroyed, and you lost hope, you lost faith. You know, that's a slight onto you for obeying men instead of obeying and being obedient to the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And it tells you that in the scriptures, man. You got to be obedient on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua no matter what. You know? Because a lot of times men make mistakes. You know? A lot of times there's a slip of the tongue. You know, case in point, now I casted a lot, which I'm going to get into that later. I casted a lot dealing with if I should make a video about this, because I was going to correct it out of, you know, love and sincerity. But I decided to refrain after casting a lot, as there was an error that Apostle Tahar made when he was speaking about Yahweh Shai, and I believe it's in the video, I just had it. It was like, I think it was Narrow 47 calls for a draft and other topic of importance. I think that's the video where he said Yahweh Shai is coming back to murder. You know, which that's against the scriptures. That's contrary to the scriptures. And I know that was a slip of the tongue, because I believe sincerely that, you know, Apostle Tahar is a man of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know, and I look onto him as a father. But case in point, just making an example, I already casted a lot. Not to make a correction video of it, but I'm just making a point right now. You know, Yahweh Shai is not going to murder. He's going to righteously kill. And there's a difference. You know, he's He's the highest degree of purity. So why would he sin by murdering Esau or murdering everyone else? No, he will be righteously killing these individuals, man, as he is the judge. Now, I know that was a slip of the tongue, right? But that's just a case in point. If somebody told you something contrary to the scriptures and you did it and you believed it, then that's on you. Now, if you wholeheartedly believe in this truth, then you're going to be obedient unto death, man. You're going to follow the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai as the scriptures instruct you to. Right? That's why I tell these people, man, it's not about what I say, it's about what the scriptures say. When they talk about, oh, I'm a Jew because of my mom. Fuck your mom. Matter of fact, what's her number? You know, shit. Most High ain't dealing with women, man. But if they actually went into the scriptures, you'll find that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, he's only dealing with men. With the bros. With the brothers. With the brethren. This is Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 31. It says, "And ye my flock, the flock of my pastor, are men." You know, when you get a group of sheep, that's a pastor. Let's look up the word pastor real quick. Let me see. Let me just ask Google. Would it a flock of sheep be considered a pasture? So it says a flock of sheep is not considered a pasture itself, but rather the livestock, which is the believers, on a pasture, you know, which you consider the pasture being this truth. A pasture is the land and enclosed area of grazing vegetation like grass or clover where the flock eats. Sheep are commonly rotated across the multiple pasture plots to manage grazing, prevent parasites, and allow vegetation to recover. You know, so the sheep are men. So we're looking for a few good men. You know, now that's not this to disclude the women. You women got to humble down and submit to your man as we are submitting to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, specifically Yahweh Shai, as the scriptures say. Right? And to show the pattern of truth, we'll go to a whole nother prophet's mouth. You know, this is Proverbs chapter 8, verse 1. Doth not wisdom cry, which wisdom is exhibited with a feminine spirit, Sophia in the Greek. You know, wisdom. You know, that's what we're, you know, blessed to have. Because we pray for it, man. We pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I prayed before I came out here, man, that this will be an edifying camp. You know, and the spirit is definitely working with me because, you know, this is a one-man show. You know, the Most High is putting precepts in my mind as we go. Putting thoughts in my mind as we go. You know, because, you know, my guardian angels are around me. And you got to believe that too. It says, "An understanding put forth her voice." And I'm predestined to say these things, man. Written from the foundation of the earth to say these things in glorification of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. Right? Just as you are, the hopeful elect. It says, "She's standing in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the paths. She cried at the gates, at the entry of the city," which that's, you the chief place of concourse, as it alludes to in the first chapter of Proverbs. At the coming in at the doors, unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. So we're reaching out to the men. Now, unfortunately, we believe that, the elect have been sealed. And if the elect have been sealed, as we see this destruction already taking place, then, the doors of mercy are pretty much closed. But at the same time, too, you got individuals that's gonna, show themselves in the last hour. But I'm pretty sure the seed has already been planted. Because Hebrew Israelites is a household name now. Case in point, I was at work and someone asked me, because we were talking, and I wasn't even saying I was an Israelite. I was just saying that it doesn't go by your mammy. And he said, are you a Hebrew Israelite? And it wasn't the fact that he asked that question, it's the fact that he didn't add the word black. And I never met this Jake in a day of my life, so I know, and we all know, that this word has gone throughout the four corners of the earth, man. And now the end is here. The day of vengeance is here. Those missiles are just a cherry on top, man. Because you would have to think America would have to be, their army have to be, relatively destroyed for these nations to be able to encircle themselves in battle array, that nothing goes in and nothing comes out. That means the American military would have had to been compromised, right? But going back to Ezekiel, I'll just get with the lesson. Because the topic of this camp, is no, I'll go back to Jeremiah 7. To verse 11. It says, in this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your eyes. Behold, even I have seen it, saith Yahweh. But go ye now unto my place which is in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Israel. And now because you have done all these works, saith Yahweh, and I spake unto you, through the prophets, rising up early and speaking. So he put the spirit on us to rise up early and come out here and speak. Now certain brothers, start times are different. But sometimes I like to just go ahead and go to camp after, working out. I work out early in the morning, like around, just say late at night. You know, because I don't want to be in the habit of informing the enemy of my day-to-day, man. Whoever that enemy may be. You never know who's watching and taking notes. You know? But nonetheless, he put the spirit on us, or on me specifically for the day, to rise up early and teach his word, man. It says, but ye heard not. And when I upload these videos, you know, you should be getting 1 million views. And the apostle should be getting trillions of views. Right? But yet, for some brothers' pages, it seems like we're not getting any. But that's, you know, Esau playing with his counters. You know? It says, but ye heard not, and I called you, but ye answered not. Therefore will I do unto this house which is called by my name, wherein ye trust, and unto the place which I gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh. And I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. You know, and that's, you know, the warning that Yahweh Shem Yahushua gave to the southern kingdom at that time. But it was the same situation, man. You know, our people always follow after these wicked heathen nations, follow after their gods and their deities, and they stop being obedient to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and, you know, Yahweh Shem Yahushua puts belt to ass. The same way, in the same, well, I guess you could say even more destructive, even more judgment, you know, to these heathens, as they're starting to see, you know, the wrath of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 18. It says, pride goeth before destruction. Right, pride goeth before destruction, man. And who's the most powerful? It's you Edomites, man. It's you so-called white people that start calling yourself white in 1681 in Virginia, North Virginia to be specific, due to the Bacon rebellions, man. You know, and that's all you Edomite tribes, because it's just not just one group of Edomites. No, they have tribes, just as the people on this side, man, that have, you know, their own spirit to them, right? And one of the most proudest of all the Edomites is the Amalekites, you know, which live in, according to the Bible, according to biblical prophecy, they would be the ones living in the land of Israel before the return of the Messiah, man. They'll be the bastard that is dwelling in Ashdod, man. So what I want to do right now, I want to go into a few scriptures dealing with casting lots real quick. So going down to Proverbs chapter 16, verse 33, it says, the lot is cast into the lap. You know, casting a lot, flipping a coin. You know, where they stole, Esau stole that from the Bible and put it in his comics with the villain Two-Face. You know, to make it seem as if actually casting a lot to make the final decision is a bad thing. It says, but the whole disposing thereof is of Yahweh. So it's Yahweh that is going to decide how that coin lands. As the unseen world has pure control. Right? And, you know, just to prove that there's examples, there's a pattern in the scriptures that approve of casting lots. This is Leviticus chapter 16, verse 8. It says, and Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, one lot for Yahweh and the other lot for the scapegoat. Right? Let's go to Numbers. Numbers chapter 26, verse 55. It says, notwithstanding, the land shall be divided by lot. According to the names of the tribes of their fathers, they shall inherit. According to the lot, shall the possession thereof be divided between many and few. Let's go to another precept. This is Joshua chapter 18, verse 6. It says, ye shall therefore describe the land into 7 parts, and bring the description hither to me, that I may cast lots for you here before Yahweh our power. But the Levites have not part among you, because they were the priests, which, the Levites today are the so-called Haitians. And you see them have a tap in to the spirit world, through their, I believe they're the ones that do voodoo. It says, for the priesthood of Yahweh is their inheritance. And Gad and Reuben and half the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond Jordan on the east, which Moses, the servant of Yahweh, gave them. And the men arose and went away, and Joshua charged them that went to describe the land, saying, go and walk through the land and describe it, and come again to me, that I may here cast lots for you before Yahweh in Shiloh. And the men went and passed through the land and described it by cities into 7 parts in a book, and came again to Joshua to the host at Shiloh. And Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before Yahweh. And there Joshua divided the land unto the children of Yasharallah according to their divisions. So there's another point in which the casting of lots was used, man. Let's go to Samuel. Chapter 10, verse 20. It says, and when Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 20, and when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Yasharallah to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul the son of Kish was taken. And when they saw him, he could not be found. Therefore they inquired of Yahweh further if the man should yet come thither. And Yahweh answered, behold, he hath hid himself among the stuff. So it says, even kings were chosen by Yahweh through lots. Another point of that is, I believe it was Matthias. Let's go to Acts. Chapter 1, verse 24, says, and they prayed and said, thou Yahweh Shai, which knowest the hearts of all men, show whether of these 2 thou hast chosen. That he may take part of the ministry and apostleship from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. And they gave forth their lots, And the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. So they cast lots, man. So there's nothing wicked about casting lots. But there is something wicked when you don't abide by the lot that you cast in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because it doesn't fall your way. Now, going back to the lesson, pride goeth before destruction. You know, over the couple of days and whatnot, you know, the leader of Israel, the leader of the state of Israel, hasn't been seen, man. And, you know, recently there was rumors of him being deleted. You know, so just to, you know, maybe build another brother's faith, I want to cast a lot in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Heads, he's dead, or tails, he's still alive. You know, so I'm gonna record it on my phone. I'm gonna record it on my phone, so and then I'll probably upload it. So this is a quarter. So heads, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is dead, or tails, he's still alive. You know. So in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Harachakwadash, heads dead, tails alive concerning Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the state of Israel. So the lot landed on heads. So the lot landed on heads. So that was in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Harachakwadash. Heads that Benjamin Netanyahu is dead, and tails that he's still alive, and it landed on heads. So going back to the lesson, which this has all been speculation, right? Up until now. Because I believe in the lot more so than I believe in the mouths of men. You know? And it's been reported that he's been counseling so-called appearances. And then they said that his plane was in Germany, but it was there for maintenance. And then they're talking about, oh, he just made a speech, but he had 6 fingers. It was AI. So up to this point, and to give glory and praise to the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Harachakwadash, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai says he's dead, man. He's in the spirit world. Good for that damn demon, man. Most High's gonna get all you damn Edomites. But this is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. It says, pride goeth before destruction. You know, and these people are very pride-filled and very arrogant, man. You know, and they boasted in their military. And they snickered and they looked down at, you know, certain nations like Russia. Oh, you couldn't take out Ukraine in a couple of days. All while the United States is feeding them all this arsenal. You know, like you in a street fight or in a gunfight, and you shooting at someone trying to kill them, and they keep running out of bullets and shit, running out of guns to fire, and somebody just throwing them more guns. Here's another gun. Here's another gun. You know? What you expect? So the mind thinking of Russia, which is Gog in the scriptures, is just to meat grind you stupid people down, man. They have you send all your shit there, to send your mercenaries, to send your best advisors, because Ukraine was built up to be one of the best, if not the best, military in Europe, and they all got grinded down, man. And Russia wasn't, and hasn't been, showing its full capability, man. Just as you're starting to see with Iran, which Iran are the same people that invented chess. But then, once again, it goes before the structure, which is pride, man. You so-called white people think that you're, especially you men, you think you're big and bad, but just as Cat Williams said, there's a little white woman in the inside, deep in the inside, man. You know, you boasted through your feats because Yahweh Shem Yahweh was with you momentarily just to bring judgment upon his people. But now that judgment is being accomplished and is migrating over to you until you're destroyed, until you're at the bottom of one shoe. It says, in a haughty spirit before a fall. And who else has more of a haughty spirit than you so-called white people, who are the Edomites? You know, let's go to Etma Online, to the word haughty, which is an adjective, which is proud and disdainful. You know? Proud and disdainful. High in one's own estimation. And if that ain't America, and you so-called white people, I don't know who it is, man. Despite when you actually go to the records, you never won a war. You know, you've never won a fucking war. Despite you trying to distort history so it could, you know, reflect results in your favor, man. As if you're the big bad army that came through and, you know, laid the law down, man. No. There was already armies that blood was already shed in order for the victory to be achieved, man. And even dealing with World War II, the Japanese were trying to surrender to the Soviet Union, but as we see now on this day and time, none of these nations are good enough. You have to have the final say. It's your way or death. It ain't even the highway, it's your way or death. So that's the reason why Japan was bombed, because you wanted to test out your that atomic bomb, man. If we drop this atomic bomb, nobody will ever mess with us. They'll be in fear for decades. Until today. Now you're on a, what do they call it? Well, I could see the imagination in my mind. I can't think of the word. I guess you could say under the gun. I was thinking of like a jigsaw type booby trap, you know, where there's a gun barrel right on your forehead, man. And if you move a certain way, that trigger gonna get pulled. And you know how certain times he sets up traps where it's impossible to escape. This is the trap that Esau's in, man. This is the destruction that is going to meet him, man. Lashuwan Kodash Ga'ah. I believe for the word pride, it says exalt, rise up, arrogantly lift oneself. And that's what these damn devils have been doing, man. Until they got hit with a hypersonic, man. Hypersonic missile. No, not only did he get himself killed, he got his brother killed. And they're not going to be, showcasing this all over the fucking world, man. That would be like a crackhead beatdown, man, or something to that nature, man. The most embarrassing beatdown, man. Fucking Iran is gonna start doing trap music, man. Fuck around, whole clique get murdered, or whole clique get tortured. And as you see on the world stage, no one wants to click up with this damn devil, man. Because this is the end for him. The whole world is gonna be against this damn devil, man. The whole world that has missiles is gonna shoot their missiles on this place. And we're seeing the pride go before the destruction. Benjamin Netanyahu, I believe, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and asking, is in the spirit world, man. Anything else is just six-finger AI, man. It says, breakdown, pride is not just an emotion, it is a spiritual elevation that provokes Yahweh to bring someone down. And you can see pride formulating on individuals, man. If you have discernment, some will say, oh, it's just passion. And that's pride. Because you don't even want to consider if you're prideful. You're just going to make the assumption, oh, you're just getting on me for the passion. No, the spirit sees it within you. And it's checking you in the open, and you're telling the spirit that it's a lie. And in a lot of you people's mind, it will be a mother effing lie, which is no bueno. Going to Obadiah, the book. I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, the pride of thy heart, which we know in the scriptures, your heart is your mind, deceive thee. So all that military prowess, all that billions and billions of dollars that you spending on your forces, and you thinking that nobody can stop you, like you got... See, the way you people talk, it seems like you invented a magical force field, man. Like in your movies, you just got a magical force field. Not even a bullet, not even a nuclear missile could penetrate. And that's because of your pride, man. And what did the Most High do? He allowed the angels to totally wipe out your missile defense systems. He rendered them obsolete. They saturated your shit with cheap drones, so you could exhaust all your interceptors. And then Iran does they're on the 15th or the 20th wave. Some say in the 30s. And they tearing your asses up, man. Because you thought you was the big bad bully on the block, man. And you just got a rude awakening. You're too much of a bitch to tell the truth to the American people and to the people of the world that you ain't that guy. And that's going to have reverberating ripple effects. Because if you ain't that guy on the world stage, how are people going to look at you at home? Same people for all these centuries you tried to instill your white supremacy over, man. Your Edomite supremacy. How are you going to look here? They're going to look at you, because I know, because I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to get that, which I already had that spirit on me, like you Edomites weren't shit. But now people are starting to get the thoughts in their mind, I'm sure, that these motherfuckers are weak. They could be taken down. And that's what the Most High is showing you through Iran and soon all these nations. That's why they clipped your homeboy. Benjamin, not a Jew. It says, the pride of thy mind have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. You had 2 stints in the caves, man. In Petra, which is in Jordan, and then in the Caucasus Mountains, man, where you fulfilled the curse of Cain. You know? By being on your belly, you know, being in that low state. And then you were allowed to be loosed in this time period since the Renaissance, which is the rebirth of the pagan Roman Empire, you could say. You know, to now where you have deceived the world. Now you have the world believing that you're the children of the Most High. You have the world believing that God is with you and God looks just like you. You have the world believing that your ideologies are pure and the way to go, when they're all contrary to scriptures. All these other nations, they follow after religious principles, man. Yet you have another nation that says they're Bible-fearing, but everything that they enforce upon these other nations concerning their foreign policy is contrary to the scriptures, man. And now the truth is coming out who they really worship. They worship the spiritual demon Satan. In order to keep that connection, they gotta, you know, kidnap your children and pop your children and molest your children and cannibalize your children and sacrifice your children and drink the blood of your children. Which is all coming out, which is all things that we already knew. But you didn't listen to the words of the prophet, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, man. And some of you motherfuckers, you hate the messenger, so therefore you don't want to listen to the message. You know? Listen to the message. It says whose habitation is high. That's why he has these high skyscrapers. You have to understand, man, when even on a lower level, when you get a nice car, sometimes you have a spirit on you where you think that you're better than someone, right? Oh, you listen to that bullshit music, that boasting music, that hip hop shit. And you driving in something nice and you look at someone else that doesn't have nearly as nice as a car, you think you have that spirit and you're thinking you're superior, you're thinking you're better, you're a higher class. How much more if you're living in a skyscraper, man? If you're on top of a vertical, if you got the view, you know? I thought I was doing something when I was staying in Oakland, right at the border of Piedmont, downtown, right down the street from the Honda. You know, when I was living on the top floor of this condominium, I guess you could call it, and I got to saw the skyline, I was like, dang, this is nice. So you can only imagine these rich Edomites that live in these high rises, how much so they look down upon you. It says that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And while they're looking down on you, it's like, who's gonna take me out of power, man? We got the best military. This is the number one country. This is America. Then you got these coconut jarheads talking about what you people are doing right now. You're proving to yourselves to be against this government, and you know they're gonna come. We already know they're gonna come, man. Isaiah 59:19. But even within that scripture, it says that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is gonna lift up a standard, man. And if I find the video, I'm gonna make a comment, because you know I have a hard time not fucking making comments. You know, that's something I'll be praying to, you know, be taken away. You know, but the comment I'm gonna leave, it says, when y'all make y'all move, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is gonna make his move, mother effer. You know? Because a lot of you jakes, you're gonna be killed as your hand is joined in hand with this damn devil, man. As we're starting to see over there in that desert that you're getting destroyed in, man. Verse 4 says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, which the eagle is known for its pride, man. And almost, key word, almost every Edomite society, their mascot, their animal of choice is an eagle. And it just so happens America has the bald eagle, man. That basically is the Dominus Rex of its niche. It kills for sport. If you ever watch, you know, specials on them, how they live, their habitat, their mannerisms, they're very proud, man. They're the highest flying bird. You know, they'll just get a baby goat or a adult goat, a mountain goat, and snatch it up and carry him high in the air just to drop its ass, man. You know, entertainment. And that's what this damn devil has been doing to all you heathen nations. And yet, you heathens still get on your knees and get your mouth ready, man. You know, especially you Asians, they done fed you opium, they done atomic bombed you. And you still get on your knees and get your mouth ready for them, man. So you have to know that's the spirit that the Most High's put on you, but he's slowly but surely taking it away. It says, and though thou set thy nest, which is his defense, that's why he has the Space Force, which those weapons ain't pointing towards the earth, they're pointing toward outer space, as this dumbass thinks that Yahushua is interstellar, which now they're coming out that the angels, which are messengers, which is our brothers, are interdimensional, as we've been saying. And if they're not interstellar, then that discredits his whole NASA deception, his space program, him going to Mars, him sending probes to these different planets, because they can't get past the Van Allen belt, man, which is a barrier. You know? So now that he found that out, and you see he has never tried to make any more attempts to go to the moon, he wants to set up hydro colliders to try to open up those portals to the other dimensions, man. Mad scientists. Thinking that whatever comes out is gonna be on his side. Madness. Right? It says, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. So when did he start to set up his defense? In 1969, man. When they lied and said that they went to the moon. That's when they started to, you know, decline. Especially when they came back from Nam and all that other shit. They're all drugged up. know, the hippie movement, you had LSD, you had a new disease, HIV. Then you had the 80s, the crack era. You know, which crack was fabricated in a basement, as they say, at UCLA, man, to specifically target you so-called blacks in your community, man, your communities. You know? And why do they want to do that? I'm assuming to hamper down the whole I'm black and I'm proud movement. Now these niggas can't be black and proud because they too busy worried about crack. See, we got them, John. And then they want you to believe that, you know, they ain't being wicked. That's just a figment of your imagination. You know, the damn devil. So that's when Esau started to go down. That's when the truths and men started to teach this word. Going back to co-pilot, the word in the Lashuan for arrogance, gawa, or pride. Gawa, arrogance. Kazawan, vision, illusion. You know, for the word, I believe, for deceive. So you're under strong delusion. Breakdown, Esau's pride blinds him. America, as the third Babylon, inherits this same delusion of invincibility. Now, even AI recognizes America as the third Babylon, man. All I asked it was to parallel it to the third Babylon and how America exhibits those same attributes. But AI is tying the third Babylon to America. America! And what does it says? It has as the third Babylon inherits this same delusion of invincibility. So when those 5,000 Marines get killed, you leathernecks, whatever the fuck you niggas call yourselves, and you in that bottom of that ocean, or you're gonna be in the sands of the Levant, then where was all that invincibility, man? Going back to the scriptures, to the truth. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua decides the battles, man. See, I like reading the scriptures, man, and breaking them down. This is Daniel chapter 4, verse 30. It says, the king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power? So he's saying he did it on his own. The same spirit that Donald Trump is in. Oh, I'm making America great again. I'm doing it on my own. Narcissistic spirit. Oh, it's his fault. He's the one that told me to do this and do that. So he could shift the blame. See how these devils operate, man? They don't even own up to their own shit. They want you to do the crime and do the time. But these motherfuckers will start world wars in order not to do the time. It says, and for the honor of my majesty, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. So the voice from heaven told Nebuchadnezzar that his kingdom has departed from him, and they were destroyed. Same thing that's happening to Esau in these times. And that's why it's not going good for him right now. And it's not going to go good for him because it's prophetically impossible for him to win. Not militarily, but prophetically impossible for him to win. It's the story of David versus Goliath all over again, man. It's the story of how Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua brings down wicked kingdoms. And this is the most wicked kingdom toward Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua's people, man. It says, Nebuchadnezzar boasted, is not this great Babylon that I have built? That's the same spirit that Trump is coming in with his whole Make America Great Again. Him taking credit for, everything that is good and nothing that is bad, which shows a lack of integrity. It says Yahweh immediately humbled him. So just as Yahweh immediately humbled Benjamin, not a Jew, and he's dead, it's the same way that the Most High is going to humble the entire nation of Esau, man, of Edom. And they all going to be dead. And the remnants which are the rich elite, they're going to be the first crops of slaves, man. According to the Holy Bible, man, which they're about to ban. It says America boasts of being the greatest nation on earth, just as all those ancient empires, man. And it just so happens this is the 250th year, which marks the decline of, the majority of these empires, man, give or take. And that's a good fucking thing, man. All the wickedness that these damn devils have done, man.
I said we kill all the cockroaches and all these devil worshippers and all, wipe them out, we'll be free.
No, you don't know he's a devil. This is Daniel chapter 5, verse 20. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind was harder than pride, so their minds are hardened with pride, man. And that's all you hear out of them, man. A bunch of lies. A bunch of pats on the back. A bunch of bigging up and boasting. And it's all lies. That's why they gotta do away with the internet, because the internet tells a whole different story than what they're telling you behind what they call it, the podium, the presidential podium, or those different interviews. It's all lies. That's why they keep telling you and putting it in the air that there's going to be a military draft. And I'm pretty sure they're going to clean up all you transients, you homeless. Yeah, they're going to give you a nice cut in maybe a wash. Put a rifle in your hand and drop your ass off the fucking C-130, man. Probably going to be getting shot while you still parachuting in the air. Because that's the hell that the Most High is bringing. Look what he's doing in Ukraine. They say that's hell on earth, constantly being bombarded with explosives and missiles and hypersonic missiles and glide bombs. And all types of different artillery, man. And then not knowing if you're going to get nuked or not. Don't want to fight too hard because you are scared, oh shit, we fight too hard, they might fucking nuke us. It says he was disposed from his kingly throne. So just as these ancient kings before were disposed of their kingly throne, so are you Edomites, man. And they took his glory from him. And America's glory is going to get taken from it by nuclear missiles, man. See, that's the Most High right there. I also prayed that the Most High don't send no demons, and if he do, allow me to have the spirit to, deal with him. But the angels was right here, and he said his little bullshit, blocked his ass and sent him on his way. Power of prayer. Going back to co-pilot, keyword rum, lifted, exalted. Breakdown, pride removes crowns, Yahweh strips kingdoms like garments. And that's what he's about to do to America, man. He's stripping this bitch down. I was talking to the dude at the gym. As reluctant I am to even talk to you people. And really, it's because you people are scared, man. You so-called white people, you really are scared right now, man. And then the sentiment from everybody else is, don't nobody want to be on your side. Nobody wants to help you. Nobody wants to fight this war for you or with you. Actually, they want you. They want your blood. They want your head, man. They want your helmito for all your wickedness, man, as the truth is being brought out. Fighter for a effing pedophile, man. A demon that drinks baby blood. That's what you people stand for, man. This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 7. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High and man. And that's why you're seeing all these different nations starting to disassociate themselves with America, man. And you so-called white people, man. Because now people are starting to be comfortable now and admitting that you're the damn devil, man. It used to be just talk among each other. Minorities or dark-skinned people just talk shit behind your back. But now it's all out in the open. That's you the damn devil, man. It says, pride is hateful before the Most High man, and by both doth one commit iniquity because of unrighteous dealings. And that's what the damn devil has done, unrighteous dealings. You're gonna go ahead and do a decapitation strike on the same individuals you're negotiating peace with? What kind of barbarian does that? You're trying to negotiate peace with another superpower, and your retarded ass flies your best capable nuclear powered stealth bombers over his head? And you got the audacity to think that these nations haven't been preparing for you? You will have to say that this is a higher, a higher iteration of power, man. This is divine authority that is making these moves, man. It says injuries and riches got by deceit. You go and take all these people's resources, and you damn devils celebrate it, man. You fellow Edomites, you celebrate them stealing people's shit because that's in your spirit to do. You've done it through your time on this planet ever since you came out of the womb of Rebecca, man. That's why they chased after you and cried after you as after a thief. It says the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So because you've done this, now we're at the end of America, man. We're at the end of so-called white supremacy, man. According to the Holy Bible and the proper breakdown, man. Going back to Copilot, it says pride is universally despised. Even the wicked hate arrogant rulers, man. And it tells you in the scriptures that every hand of the wicked shall be upon you. Which that word wicked goes into laborer. You know? And all these people are laborers because they have to deal with your fucking fiat system, your dollar, the petrodollar. I'm going to jump down to verse 12. It says, the beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High. And that's what they did. They took they were already in decline. You know, but you start to see it when they took the Bible out of the schools. They took prayer out of the schools. And then they, you know, switched to just being purely satanic. You know? Just a small example is because, you know, going to Psalms, the 50th chapter, they took it upon themselves to, for lack of better words, take upon the covenant, man, saying that they were the children of Israel. So now they're being judged according to that. It says, in his heart is turned away from his maker. For pride is the beginning of sin. And because when you're prideful, when you start feeling yourself, you know, smelling your own shit on your knees, you know, you start to think that nothing can happen to you. You're good. You're untouchable. So you have license to commit more and more iniquity. And that's something that Esau, you know, has felt ever since he stole the jewels of God, man, and enslaved them, raped, robbed, murdered them, mutilated them, performed surgery with no anesthesia on them. The whole medical industry is based upon slavery, man. And they're experimenting on the people on this side, man. Making furniture out of them, beef jerky, souvenirs. The dildo comes from Jake Rod as it was mutilated during slavery, and they'll put it on their shelves as souvenirs, man. These are the people that are in power, man, and they haven't stopped. They're still doing it. That's why you have missing people on the milk cartons or at your grocery stores. Posted up on a bulletin, man. That's why you're starting to see the wickedness that they do with the revealing of these Epstein files, man. It's the whole system. If they were to bring all these people to justice, this whole system will collapse overnight. And they're never going to do that. Why? Because they're the ones in power. The wicked have been given the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. It says, and he that have it shall pour out abomination. And that's what they're doing, is pouring out abomination. You know, wicked acts. And therefore Yahushua brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. So they're going to experience strange calamities, man, and be overthrown utterly. Especially you people at the ground level, man. Especially when gas gets so expensive that you don't even want to drive anymore. You can't afford it. You know, people around here are probably bugging out about the gas. To me, this is California gas. Which, you know, typically Nevada is maybe a dollar cheaper. So this, to me, ain't nothing but California gas, man. But you people are bugging now. I see a lot of you ain't driving as much no more. It's not pedal to the metal no more. You know, the devil gave your foot back. You know? And that's the calamity that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is putting on this place. Because he's going to overthrow it. The word for pride equals spiritual rebellion. America's laws, culture, and policies reflect a nation that has departed from Yahweh. Right. When you depart from the law, statutes, and commandments, man, when you allow all this degeneracy to, unfold, man. Now you have the end. This is 2nd Esdras. Chapter 15, verse 6, it says, "For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth." And just by this damn devil's foreign policy, wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, man. And these nations are fighting like hell to keep you damn devils out of their country. As soon as you see one of them, trying to do something diplomatic, you have to question, what are they trying to steal? And that's even these people on the ground level of the pyramid, man. They're all the same. And then they want you to feel ashamed about so-called teaching hate, when their whole history is a pattern of hate, man. They're the definition of hate. This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13. Which I'll start at verse 12. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven?" To fall from heaven is you falling from your power. Right? "I will ascend into heaven," and he's ascending through his space shuttles. His spacecraft. "I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High." Through his outer space and also being over the Israelites. "I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north." He's in the northern hemisphere. "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." And that's the mind of these damn devils. They want to be like God, man. That's why they want to chip everybody, which is the MOTB. And they already got that concept out, man. The micro implant or the brain interface. It says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell." To the grave, man, to destruction. "To the sides of the pit, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee." Yeah, they're going to look at you in disgust, man. And think and consider thee. And they're going to saying, "Is this the man that made earth to tremble?" And how did he make earth to tremble? By his military, man. That's the only thing. What good has came out of this damn devil, man? All the good that he takes credit for, he stole from someone else. Mainly the people on this side. It says, "Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness?" And you see that through the before and after pictures of certain countries, cities, towns, that got bombed, that got destroyed by him, man. And destroyed the cities thereof. that open not the house of his prisoners, right? And he keeps people locked up for hundreds of years. You know, if you do certain crimes in the kingdom, if you commit crimes unto death, you're gonna get put to death, man. You know, there's certain things that you transgress on that call for you to live in a city where you are to flee if you're a manslayer, man. And if it was an accident, you know. But with Esau, he releases people, but he gives them these football numbers, man. You know, the Most High is going to destroy these people for that. It says, all the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory. Right, because they're going to maintain relics of their own, their history, they're gonna see their lands again, man. Everyone in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. And as the raiment, Salakia, articles of clothing, of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land. Right, because the actions of this damn devil is going to get the entirety of America wiped off the face of the earth. As prophecy says that it's going to happen, man. Whether you motherfuckers believe it or not, you're still going to be destroyed. A lot of you people, you're going to be dead by the end of the year, man. And you false prophets are going to be the first to go. It says the seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. So no one's ever going to remember no type of righteousness from you so-called white people, you Edomites. No matter what you call yourselves today, whether it be Russians, whether it be Israelis, Europeans, Americans, so on and so forth. No one's ever going to remember you after you're destroyed, exterminated after that 1,000 years of slavery, man. Verse 21, it says, prepare slaughter. So now the Most High has put it in the minds of men, these nations, these leaders, to prepare their military arsenals against you, to prepare slaughter, man. Also, he has set up his own people, because his own people are going to get busy in the civil war that's coming to America, man, real soon. Because according to scriptures, there's going to be a civil war going on in America. Simultaneously, you see a World War III. No. It says prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. Because they are their fathers coming back. The Bible speaks about regeneration, reincarnation. You know, we live many lives. You know, all places that nasty, fat, big back, greasy looking black bitch could have parked. She wanted to park right there, man. Showing you that this is a spiritual thing, man, because there's plenty of parks a little further down the street. You know? Which goes to another point. You nasty, fat looking broads out here, you ain't gonna get chose. That's going back to pre-fucking social media days, man. You know? Because you ain't finna get chose out here not looking like that. You know, most men like to be attracted to something nice. It says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So these are the same individuals that were hanging you 100 so years ago coming back. You know, these old people are their children. You know, that they do not rise into power again, nor possess the land, nor have ownership or control of the land or their resources, nor fill the face of the world with cities, nor fill the face of the world with all these high-rise cities, man, with these big skyscraping buildings, man. So going back to co-pilot, the word halal ban shakar means shining one, son of the dawn. Breakdown: this is a king of Babylon, not a demon. His pride mirrors America's "we will ascend" mentality. Right? Going to Isaiah chapter 2. Start at verse 11. It says, "The lofty looks of a man shall be humbled." And these people, they've been looking lofty for centuries, man. And you're starting to see the strife among their kings. Right? "And the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down. And Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day." So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua alone is going to be exalted in this day, man. That's it, that's all. "For the day of Yahweh hosts," which hosts meaning armies, Sabaoth, "shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty." And that goes to the macro to the micro, man. All you people that are proud and lofty, man. Especially you women. There's going to be a lot of women deleted in these times than I assume than men. Because there's more women on the planet than there is men. You know? And that happens when you be trying to, pop her face to face. Or let her, pop you face to face. You know? It says, "For the day of Yahweh host shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low." This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 31. It says, "Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud." So the Heavenly Father, he's against you Edomites, man. He's against you Edomites, and he's against everything that you stand for, man. Saith Yahweh hosts, Yahweh armies, "For thy day is come." So we're in the time that your day has come, man. The end has come. That's why your homeboy got clipped, man. I casted a lot and asked Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, "Is it so?" And it landed on, he got clipped. "The time that I will visit thee." So we're in the days, especially as soon as they push the MOTB, that the Heavenly Father is going to visit this place, man. He's going to send his son, but his spirit is going to be in that fire, man. It says, "And the most proud shall stumble and fall." So you so-called white people, you're going to stumble and fall because you're the most proud, man. Look all the wickedness that you wrought in the earth, man. fucking demons. It says, and none shall raise him up. No one's going to raise you up. Nobody's going to want to. You're starting to see that on the world stage, even among your allies. They don't want you to fly your planes at their military bases. They're not granting you access. You know, your mother, I think the UK is Great Britain, if I'm not mistaken, or around that area. You know, well, the UK, they don't want you to use their bases. They're reluctant, you know, because the world is not ready economically for what's to come, man. But you drag the world into it anyway. A war that you're not even ready for economically, because you thought going to Venezuela was going to render the same results. Or I should say it like this, you going into Iran was going to render the same results that you got from Venezuela, man. But unlike Venezuela, Iran is biblical prophecy, man. That was your final stop. Just as he put it in the mind of certain individuals like General Wesley Clark when he was listing those 7 Arabian nations that they wanted to invade, man. Because this is the Most High's program, man. This is his movie. It says, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities. So the Most High, he's going to start a fire in these cities, man. And what do you have them saying? Iran is going to be doing drone attacks. After, you know, they just had a military base that got broken into and drones were miraculously the only thing stolen. Setting up a false flag to get the entirety of America behind this World War III, and it's gonna fail, it's gonna backfire. And that might be the catalyst to cause the next civil war in America, man. Civil War 2.0. Where it's not gonna be fought like, you know, them motherfuckers standing in a straight line just getting gunned down. No, it's gonna be more so guerrilla warfare, man. A free-for-all, a Royal Rumble. Factions against factions. Almost like, you know, The Walking Dead on steroids, man. So yeah, America is gonna be on fire, man. It says, and it shall devour all round about him. Going back to Copilot, the word for arrogant or proud in this particular verse, Zidon, insolent, arrogant. Breakdown. Yahweh directly opposes It says Yahweh directly opposes proud nations. America fits this prophecy perfectly. So even AI is against this place, man. I just typed in a prompt and it did its thing. And it's validating what the scriptures say. Which begs the question, how come you stupid people don't fucking research the bullshit that you believe in, man? That Christianity, that Islam, that I'm a Jew according to my mother. How come you don't research that shit to see if it's the truth or not? And then when you're scrambling on your phone, trying to look through your Septuagint, you don't even know where to go. Because that's the first time you were questioned about your bullshit beliefs, man. And then you just, all you Muslim niggas, you just rattle all that bullshit off that you learned in the prison cell, man. That's it. That don't mean it's the truth. Oh, you don't believe in the Bible because of the so-called white man. That's the trick and joke on you. Verse 33, it says, "Thus saith Yahweh of armies, the children of Yasha'Allah and the children of Yahweh," which Yasha'Allah means or represents in this particular verse, the northern kingdom, and the children of Judah represents, or Yahweh represents the southern kingdom, because there's 12 tribes of Israel, not just the Jews, man. Where's the other 11 tribes? You can't even keep a good lie going. You fucked up, man. You allowed Jake to read. You allowed Jake to read. You allowed these niggas to read, man. Back in slavery, you would kill a nigga for reading the Bible, man. Why is that? There has to be some truth in a book that you would kill somebody for if they were caught reading it. It says, and all that took them captives, took them slaves, held them fast. Yeah, meaning, you know, they didn't relinquish us. They didn't let us go, to the point we're still in this man's land to this day, man. Which really, this is our land. Because if one tribe steps foot here, then it belongs to all the tribes, man. So really, the Americas is our land. That's why it's deemed the land of Canaan. You know? And they stole our land from us, man. And they refused to let us go. If these racist, you know, white supremacists that always talk about go to your own country, if there was a mass exodus, which there is going to be a mass exodus out of America real soon, did you know if all the people on this sign were to leave, they'll blow up the transportation? Because it goes against prophecy, for one. The prophecy is that the people on this sign are going to be delivered by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, man. Verse 34, their Redeemer is strong. Yahweh hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of America, or Babylon, man. Going back to Copilot. Says breakdown, space programs, satellites, military dominance, pride in technological ascent. You know? And that pride in technological ascent is what made him is what made himself to believe that he's a god. This is Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 1. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, which now Esau is that prince. Thus saith Yahweh, because thy mind or heart is lifted up, meaning filled with pride, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God. So he has portrayed himself as being of the heavenly host, which is blasphemy, which is a sin that cannot be forgiven. It says, because thy heart is lifted up and thou hast said, I am God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas. And America is positioned between two massive oceans. The Pacific, I believe, is bigger than the Atlantic. And it's deeper than the Atlantic because it has the what do you call that shit? Hold on, I'll tell you right now. The Marina Trench. The Marina Trench. You know? Yeah, the water y'all about y'all shot. Verse 3. Slakia. Continuing, it says, in the midst of the seas. And then also seas represent people. You know, that's why they say this place is a melting pot, because he heaps all these nations onto him, man. Yet thou art a man. So now the Most High is about to remind this damn devil he's just a man, and really created to be the base of men, but it was used as a tool to bring about this second death, which the second death is going to be by fire, man, which is going to be thermonuclear. It says, and not God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of God. Yeah, because his agenda is to get everybody chipped so he can control the whole world. And Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, oh, he don't like that. He don't like his people being numbered, which even that census is going off. But the way you're trying to do it, oh no, man, that's what's going to lead to your ultimate destruction, man. Wiped off the face of the earth. Verse 3. It says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Yeah, and they're wise in wickedness, man. And also the scriptures say they have the spirit on them to do a diligent search. You know, they're very observant. You know, they have the attributes of a cunning hunter, not a warrior. It says there is no secret that they can hide from thee, because he's always trying to search things out. Same spirit that you need to be in, man. Learn about your enemy like they learn about you. Doesn't it not say in Luke that he's going to deliver us from our enemies and all they that hate us? So you will want to learn about your enemy, so you can know what type of devil you're dealing with, and you can understand how much you need Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, man. It says, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, which traffic is dealing with commerce. It ain't talking about you being on the road, being on the highway or the freeway. Traffic means commerce, shipping, planes, trains, logistics. You know? Hast thou increased thy riches, and that's what made the daughter of Babylon popping, man. Because all these nations around the world do business with Babylon, man. And that's how it got to be the #1 superpower, man. No. It says, and thy mind is lifted up because of thy riches. And that's where their pride comes from, man. Because it has obtained the status of being the #1 economic power. But now the Most High, just as he has done all wicked kingdoms, he's going to destroy it. It says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, because thou hast set thy heart as the heart of the Most High, behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee, which are these nations that are going to start forming their coalitions. You know, you're going to have an Arab coalition. You're going to have a Russian coalition. Even NATO is going to turn on America, man, according to the Holy Bible. The terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords, their nuclear missiles, against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defy or defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, to destruction, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas, never to be found again, man. Never to be found again, man. Because it's impossible to retrieve your body. The pressure from you floating, or even at that, animals are gonna pick you off way before you hit the seafloor, man. But even if you hit the seafloor, it's so pressurized it's gonna liquidize you, man, or liquidate you. Never to be found again. So after America's destroyed and you so-called white people are going into slavery, starting with your elite, and then the ones that died are going to come back as newborns through the elite and serve captivity for 1,000 years, which is going to be like that Tom Cruise movie where he was dying every day. And then when the 1,000 years are expired, you're going to be exterminated, and the fire that is going to be set before you, you're going to run to it in celebration to finally be relieved of the hell that we're going to put on you, man. You put us in slavery for 500, the scriptures say double onto her, which is going to be 1,000 years of slavery after America's wiped off the face of the earth, starting with your rich elite bankers, man. Then the whole nation of Edom is going into slavery, man. And then, as the scriptures say, when the sentence is expired, exterminated. No, now not the women, but the men, to sever that line from out of the earth. And then when those women die, they die. Because they're just mortals. Right? Going back to Copilot breakdown, it says ancient Tyre equals economic superpower. America. I'll probably finish the rest tomorrow. It says America equals modern Tyre, boasting in wealth and global trade. This is Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 6. It says, thus saith Yahweh, they also that uphold Egypt, which modern day Egypt is America, shall fall. Going back to even though hand join in hand. Because you got a lot of you jakes out there You fighting in this damn devil's military as if he gives a fuck about you. You veterans are the most disenfranchised and spit upon people in this society, man. He shows you all the time how he feels about you. Chews you up and spits you out. And all you get what? You get what, 10% off and a thank you for your service? To the point where you got assholes that line say they get their face blown off just to try to get sympathy in the head, which this dude was an Edomite. Malibu something. You know, that said he got stolen, what do they call it? Stolen valor. You know? Which that whole story shows you that ex-military, you veterans aren't taken care of. So the majority of you are just nothing but jarheads, man. And you deserve to go die for these Edomites, because that's your lot. You would have did the same thing in your past life, and the life before that, and the life before that, and the life before that is die for these fucking Edomites, these heathen nations. It says, "And the pride of her power shall come down. From the tower of Syene shall they fall in it by the sword, saith Yahweh." It says, "And they shall be desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and her city shall be in the midst of the cities that are wasted. And they shall know that I am Yahweh when I have set a fire in Egypt, and when all her helpers shall be destroyed." So Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is going to set a fire in this place, man. Because if I'm not mistaken, Martazarian was never set on fire, man. You know? So it's not talking about Martazarian, it's talking about America. America fits the bill, the allegory for the house of bondage now, man. It even has, I think somebody said that not. Well, anyway, it has the pyramid, which pyramids came from Jake. It tells you that in the Apocrypha. You know, it has the pyramid on the dollar bill, showing you this is the spirit of Egypt. It says, going back to Copilot breakdown, it said, "Every empire that trusted in military might was humbled." Every single empire. So now the Most High is showing you that this book is alive. This book is real. It's not a fairy tale like you satanic MFers always like to say, man. Until, you know, the Most High gives his license to start punching you in your face. You know? Because, you know, the Most High, he ain't going to be nice forever. This is Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 4. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him." So the spirit in these people is not upright. No matter what you try to do, to try to rehabilitate them, they can't be rehabilitated. Because they were created to be the wicked. Just so the Most High could show you good and evil. Since you wanted to see so bad, Eve. You know? Which, it's a perfect work because it allows us to be perfect judges, man. To judge righteously. with wisdom. It says, but the just, which is the elect, because the Bible is only written for the elect. Point blank period. They're the only ones that can understand the scriptures. All you other people, you've been blocked spiritually. You have a spiritual wall that you cannot penetrate. It says, but the just shall live by his faith, by his confidence in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, man. It says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by one, which is his ideologies, his philosophies, his falsehoods. He is a proud man, going back into the word pride, which is one of his main attributes. And you see that pride oozing every time this damn devil gets on in front of a microphone, man. Neither keepeth at home. Why the hell is he way over there in the Persian Gulf? What happened to the American Gulf? Or the Gulf of America? How come he's not there? Because he neither keepeth at home. He's a vagabond, just like Cain, because it's Cain coming back through the line of Esau, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. There's no satisfying this damn devil. He can't even be satisfied he can't even be satisfied with his own blessings, his own lot, his own inheritance. He wants everybody's shit. I'm pretty sure he tried to strong arm Jacob for that uncooked pottage. Because he was the, well, I don't think it made a difference because Jacob was stronger. No, but he was the older brother, right? It says, but gathereth unto him all nations, that's why they call it a melting pot, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's what he's going to try to do with his so-called New World Order, man, when he comes out with this MOTB. It says, shall now all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him? And this is what the world is saying about these damn devils right now, man. And say, woe, which means destruction, because they're suffering immense destruction over there in the Asia Major, Asia Minor, for going and being led to their destruction by the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua to fulfill prophecy when it comes to them going to war with Iran. Right? It says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. And you saw that with Venezuela when they went down and hijacked their oil, man. That's their resources that the Most High gave them. So you steal their oil and then resell it on the open market and you reap all the benefits. That's why it's imperative for you to win this war, because if everyone around the world and including within America sees how weak you are, that's when it's going to be the time of slaughter, man. As the scriptures say. Because without your guns, you're a very weak fucking nation of people, man. It says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? So how long is this going to continue? Most High he's about to nip it in the bud, man. And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, which is abit, which meaning debt. Let's look up real quick. How much So as of March 12, 2026, the Pentagon estimates the U.S. has spent approximately $11.3 billion in the first 6 days alone. And that's not even counting the economic effects of, the everyday people that have to deal with the rise in prices and soon hyperinflation, because this economy is going to crash. The reason why Donald Trump is continue to talk about victory this and victory that, when everybody knows it's a bold-faced lie, is because he's trying to calm the markets down, man. But as soon as it gets out that Benjamin Netanyahu got murked, then that's when the panic is going to set in, man. And that's another reason why they're not allowing nobody to talk about it. They're putting up AI videos of him talking with 6 fingers, because Iran already killed that motherfucker, man. That not a Jew. Well, I should say Yahweh Hashem Yahushai nipped his ass in the bud, man. So, as they say, it is an exciting time to be alive because we can see the downfall of our enemies, man. And it's not because we want to be their enemies, it's because they show, without a shadow of a doubt, throughout all time that, they look at us as being enemies and inferior and etc., just as they do the rest of the world, man. So now the judgment of the Most High is coming upon them. And it's just going to get worse and worse. Going back to Copilot breakdown, it says the proud man is spiritually cooked. This ain't my jargon, this is artificial intelligence. This is Copilot saying this. It says the proud man is spiritually cooked. And that's why they can't comprehend that they're in biblical prophecy, man. Everything that they're doing is, you can find it in the scriptures. Even them going into Iran, and Iran responding in the fashion that they did is in the scriptures. Even them hitting those U.S. bases, which is the land of Assyria, is in the scriptures, man. And it's all going to lead to Judgment Day. That Judgment Day I'm speaking of is when those missiles fly, man. The final volley of missiles that's going to wipe America from off the face of the earth, man. This is Malachi. And the beautiful thing about it is that so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous who are right with the Heavenly Father are going to be taken up into so-called UFOs, man. And all of their enemies are going to behold them. And they're going to behold the stars falling from heaven, which those aren't stars, those are missiles. Simultaneously, the deliverance and the destruction is going to take place, man. This is Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as a oven. Right? So when you get 200 million warheads hit in one place, it's going to be very hot. Along with the spirit of the Heavenly Father within the fire of those missiles is going to be even more hotter. Because he's a consuming fire, right? It says, and all the proud, which is the Edomites, and also 2/3 of our own people, yeah, and all that do wickedly, all you child molesters, pedophiles, you killers of kids, and this is something that you so-called white people have always been doing. You were doing this prevalently in slavery, man. Raping women, raping children, chopping them up, drinking their blood. You were doing all this in slavery, man. This ain't nothing new. People think people are acting like they're shocked. how they get down. He says, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up. Saith Yahweh host, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So they're not going to have no continuance, man. Going back to Copilot breakdown, it says nuclear destruction imagery. The third Babylon's end is fire. You know? And also, another wicked ruler of the Edomite persuasion, Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus, you know, he was filled with pride too. Just as Donald Trump, which Donald Trump we believe to be Nero, man. Which I said in a comment, if enough people hate Donald Trump, then he's eventually going to go out the way of Nero, which Nero committed suicide because people hated him so much. Because of that narcissistic spirit that he got. And who knows, because this war is not going as good as he's portraying out on national TV, man. And it's not supposed to, because this is a biblical war. This is 2 Maccabees chapter 9, verse 8. And thus he that a little forethought he might command the waves of the sea. So proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighing the high mountains in the balance, was not cast on the ground and carried in a horse litter, which that's where the horse, you know, be shitting at, showing forth unto all the manifest power of the Most High. So the Most High is going to carry you proud pieces of shit inside of a horse litter, man. So that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man, who was an Edomite, and whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away. So the Most High had him basically disintegrating. And the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. So they could smell him like fucking Roberine, man. I could smell him. You smell him from a mile away, man. How the Most High did this damn devil, man. Back during the Ptolemaic dynasties, or dynasty. Going back to Copilot breakdown, it says Yahweh humiliates pride, or Yahweh humiliates proud rulers with shameful deaths. You know? And we just saw a couple years back how the Most High could take a nigga out, man. With Wreck-It Ralph, man. Ralphie Wreck-It. You know? Got drunk and got, you know, those spirits on him to cause him to run across a freeway that is nicknamed the Highway to Hell. And he got hit by several fucking cars, man. Which he wasn't supposed to be in this truth anyway, man. That's the individual who had hands laid on him suddenly. Because he was never, in my opinion, he was never supposed to be in this truth. You know, but that's what happens when you have novices that come in this, you know, theme, this truth, and think that, or want to be somebody more than they are, man. You know? But that's an individual that should have never been in the camp. This is 1 Samuel. And Lightweight, I think he knew he was gonna get taken out, man, because he was always projecting that spirit that the Most High was gonna kill him, until eventually the Most High did. This is 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 3. It says, talk no more so exceedingly or exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For Yahweh is a power of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. So the Most High is weighing the actions of you so-called white people, man. Starting with your rich elite. And he ain't happy, man. That's why destruction is coming, man. You know? It says the bows, which are those missiles, or the silos, of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. You know? Going back to co-pilot breakdown, it says pride is answered with divine reversal. So we're about to get a divine reversal, you know, a change in places. What goes around comes around. The last shall be first. You know? This is Psalms chapter 75, verse 6. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one, and he setteth up another. So the Most High is putting down you so-called white people, you Edomites. He's taking you out of power, man. And he's gonna set up his people, man. So-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America, man. And there's nothing no one could do about it. Breakdown, it says, kingdoms rise and fall by divine decree, not politics. That's a thing of this world, man, politics. Which is all bullshit. And it tells you that in the book of Revelation. He spake as a dragon. This is Job chapter 20, verse 6. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens. Yeah, he's at the peak of power. The highest level of power that one could achieve. Right? And his head reach onto the clouds. Therefore, his pride is just as high as his power. Right? I'm in the spirit of Netanyahu. You know how he moves? And then he shakes his head. Yeah, man, he in the spirit world, man. You know? Verse 7, it says, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. Like your own shit. Flush it in the toilet, you ain't never gonna see that gangster again. You know, that wore your ass out for those 20 minutes. Once you flush him, he's gone. You know? Just like Esau. It says, they which have seen him shall say, where is he? Because there's going to be a point in time when these people are no more. They had their fun. They had their little excitement already, man. They shed a lot of blood, man. The majority of America was built on blood of people that were slaughtered for this land, man. And the people that were slaughtered for this land just so happened to be the children, the sons of God. So you don't think there's nothing gonna happen to these fucking people that did these crimes? Going back to co-pilot breakdown, it says pride leads to permanent erasure. You know which? That permanent erasure scripture, this is Obadiah verse 18. It says, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau, so-called white man, start calling himself white in 1681, for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. So there's not going to be an Edomite no more, man. And then in the kingdom of heaven, everybody on the planet is going to turn back to darker complexions as they were made from the soil, man. As they have melanin. Right? It says, for Yahweh has spoken it. So the Heavenly Father has spoken it, man. This is Revelation. It's cool. Revelation chapter 18, verse 7. Now this is, Revelation is talking about America. As you read in the first chapter, it said things which shall shortly come to pass. So it wasn't past tense. It was speaking about the future. But this is Revelation chapter 18, verse 7. It says, how much she have glorified herself. And look how this place has glorified itself among all the nations of the earth, man. You know, stealing all their resources. And then talking shit about those nations for being broke. And then oppressing them. It says, and live deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow. And the reason why they have that spirit is because they never experienced war on the mainland. But according to the Bible, America's going to get invaded. Its military is going to be destroyed to the point where you're going to have these nations surrounding America, blockading it before they shoot their nuclear missiles on this place. So that hypersonic missile was the game changer. And for some odd reason, America still hasn't really commissioned one. And the one that they got, it could only be fired from a jet. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. So one thing that is coming next is going to be famine, man. There's going to be a lack of bread. There's going to be a lack of food. Because they're not going to be shipping all that shit from China no more, because China is going to be an adversary. And then when they set up that false flag, when they have drones coming off those ships, then that's when they're going to shut all the ports down, man, and starve you people out. Especially here in Vegas, which is nothing but a desert. You know? Everybody's probably going to try to go to these casinos or go underground to this so-called underground city looking for food and water. Especially now we're coming into summertime. So a lot of you people are going to die. It's the end. It says, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. It's going to be so bad, the lick back, that even NATO is going to shoot their missiles on this place, man. It says in the scriptures, the beast shall hate the whore. Which that beast is just a conglomerate of nations, not no mystical creature coming out of the ocean. Now there are creatures that are in the ocean that are going to reveal themselves, one being the Leviathan. But that's just a lot of you people that have the scripture still sealed onto you, you know, speaking, you know, out of your unlearned heart, causing confusion, right? It says, for strong is Yahweh who judgeth her. So the judgment, the biblical, the prophetic judgment for this place is to go into Iran. Iran is going to fuck them up. These Arab nations are going to form a coalition, and then they're going to turn against you. Russia is going to form a coalition, and they're going to go against you. NATO is eventually going to turn on you. They're going to go against you. They're going to destroy all your military. They're going to surround America, and they're going to unload. That's biblical prophecy, man. Now let's see if your version happens, or if the version of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua happens, man. Because his version already happened in another dimension. We're just living it out in this one. Going back to Copilot, it says breakdown. America's exceptionalism mirrors ancient Babylon's arrogance. Her destruction comes in 1 hour. So it's only going to take an hour to completely wipe America off the earth, man. Just 1 hour. ICBMs, 20, 30 minutes. Hypersonic missiles, even less. Submarines, if they're right by the coast, lesser than that. You're not going to have nowhere to run. You're not going to have a manhole to throw your kid into, man. From an aerial view, it's going to look like the lake of fire. The same lake of fire you read about in the book of Revelation. Let's go to AI commentary. The pattern of pride, judgment. Every wicked empire followed the same cycle. Empire, Egypt, its sin, arrogance, oppression, judgment, plagues, drowning. Assyria, boasting against Yahweh, judgment, angelic slaughter. The angels are going to be laying a smackdown on this place, man. Who the world, who they think to be UFOs. Babylon, this is ancient Babylon. It says, its sin was pride in architecture and conquest. Judgment, Medo-Persian invasion. Persia, hubris of kings. Judgment, Greek conquest. Right? Greece, pride in philosophy and power. So that's what brought the first Edomite empire down, was their pride in their philosophy. And what happened? It says Roman takeover. Rome fell through arrogance and decadence, same way America is now. Its judgment was collapse and fragmentation. That's why that empire has split. America, its sin, pride, immorality, global arrogance. Its judgment, prophetic destruction, man. So all these empires, all these nations have to fall before the kingdom of heaven could be even established on earth. Right? Going back to Copilot, it says America mirrors every fallen empire, but with greater pride, greater wickedness, and therefore greater judgment. So, closing precept. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 8, verse 50. It says, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time, we're in the latter times, you know, everyone could say, oh, it feels like the end of the world because we're at the end of this age, you know. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And who's more exhibiting of pride than Donald Trump? And that's the one you voted for. So you have to say that the whole population has the same mind state and the same spirit as him, man. But going back to, let me see how much juice I got. Going back to Benjamin Netanyahu. Matter of fact, I'll just wait till tomorrow. Y'all shall rock this. I'll just do the second portion tomorrow. So with that, I hope at least one brother of the elect was edified wherever you are in the world. And I'm gonna say shalom. This is already like 2:30.